Hey guys, and welcome to It's Our Podcast Show with your host, Winston, that's me, and Steven.
How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? And today we're going to talk a little bit about chip shortages. Yes, what's happening right now? There's a chip shortage. In fact, it's been happening for quite some time, about over a year now. And no, we're not talking about your potato chips, okay?
Funny you mentioned that there was a potato chip shortage in Canada.
Oh, right.
In Canada, there was one, right?
Oh, yes. Right. So like potato chips, like eating chips.
That's right. Apparently one of the mega conglomerates for potato chips had a falling out with the largest grocery chain in Canada, owned by Loblaws. And they had a disagreement about pricing. So all of a sudden, potato chips became very scarce. I think it was Frito-Lay's, one of the big companies. So they had to turn to domestic suppliers in order to fulfill all of our potato chip needs.
Oh, wow.
So there was a chip shortage in the edible sense and also in the electronic sense.
Electronic sense. We're going to be talking about the electronic sense. Yeah. So what have you heard about it, Steve?
Well, I hear that it's more widespread than we all realize, and it's going to be affecting our supply chain for quite some time. Not only are the finished products affected, but also the way the manufacturing of the products are also affected because, hey, guess what? Machines all use chips.
That's right. We're talking about, okay, let me ask you, do you own a washing machine? Dishwasher, TVs, tablets for kids? And you drive an EV anyway, right? So
I do.
Electric vehicle. They all use computer chips. Well, some sort of computer chips. But the things, all things been happening around with the COVID disruptions in supply chains. Of course, you got the war in Ukraine. That's all affecting supply chains, and it's really including computer chips. They're not just talking about oil and gas and stuff like that, but also consumer products and things that goes in your electronics chips, right? So that's a major effect, and we've seen that happening across the globe. We've seen most electronics are made in either in China, India, the Asia Pacific. That's where the factories are, and when you have a major disruption in supply chain, including the silicon that needs to be made and everything, and that's all happening in Asia. So we have COVID lockdowns over there. It's affecting a disruption of the supply chains. You're going to get eventually the end product, consumer electronics, such as TVs and dishwashers, whatever, and anything that uses chips, mobile phones, computers. It's going to all get affected. So that's the major thing. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I heard that you've been playing with a Rubik's Cube.
Yeah. I bought a Rubik's Cube. I thought it was
Why?
Well, it takes. Well, I think. Well, if you look at the screen all the time, which I do, and it's really you need to take a break. You need to take regular breaks. If you look at the screen, monitors especially, they have this like a blue light thing that you need to like protect yourselves from. You can get some glasses that can protect from the blue light. But I thought, well, I want to take a break from just looking at the screen. So I got this Rubik's Cube. Rubik's Cube, the 3x3, which is a normal one. I've been playing that since I was a kid, but I thought, okay, let's go back in and play around with it. And I've seen those speed cube, Rubik's Cube kids. Yeah. Oh my God, they're like doing it in like 3-4 seconds. Crazy. I'm playing around with it. And apparently there's like 43 quintillion possible combinations.
Dude. That just hurts my brain. No.
It's how big a billion is, right? And then next one up is a trillion. Well, a quintillion is 1,000 trillion. So you have a 43 quintillion. That's 43,000 trillion possible combinations from a 3x3 cube. You got to remember that. It's a 3x3 cube. And it's just amazing to me. But apparently, there's an algorithm that you can run on this Rubik's Cube, and it will possibly provide you within only a few solutions. So give you an idea. What I mean is there's only certain type of moves. I think 18 to 21 possible moves that you could do, and you actually can solve a Rubik's Cube repeatedly with this algorithm.
I am not a Rubik's Cube person. I would probably rather play Tetris, which is actually counter to the fact that I'm trying to get away from my computer screen. So that's what I would probably do. I do not partake in those types of games. They tend to hurt my brain rather than do anything else to me. But that's just me.
Yeah, so I'm working on those algorithms. I've seen them online, and people are doing it on YouTube. So I'm actually almost there. So as long as like keeping track with all the algorithms, I think there's like certain moves that you do in order, and by doing that repeatedly over time, and the faster you do it, the quicker you, of course, you can get it done. 18 to 21 possible moves. That's all you need to do, and I'm working on that algorithm.
I think here about this, I would probably rather take a nap as my move rather than trying to do a Rubik's Cube to, reset that brain. Closing my eyes, very important, right?
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So with the widespread chip shortage, how has it affected you, Stephen?
Personally, I know that it affects different people at different times, especially in consumer electronics. What I noticed recently is that I was trying to get my hands on a 65-inch Amazon Omni, like this is their Alexa TV, the Omni series. It's got 4K, 65-inch. It has Dolby Vision, HDR. It's a nice TV for the price. And they were selling that TV for about $1,000 in the 65-inch model. The 55-inch is a little bit less. But they had this ridiculous sale where it was 40% off.
Wow, 40% off.
Yeah. So I spotted that deal. I was using one of the deal hunter things that alerted me to this deal. And I'm like, oh, my God. I can replace that 16-year-old rear projection 50-inch Grand Vega that I got from the back of a truck. Actually, it fell out of the back of a Sony truck. And I snatched that thing up for under $1,000.
How many years ago?
This is 16 years ago.
Oh, 60. It's still running 16 years after that?
It was still running. It's 720p. It has cable card, which is like long gone.
Yeah.
And it still has HDMI, which is okay, 720p. All it needed was a new bulb for it to run again. But I figured, you know what? It's been 16 years. $1,000, 16 years, fell out of the back of a truck. It was a risk, but it lasted the entire time. It's almost impossible to kill. So chances of me getting a new TV by replacing it with a $200 bulb would probably be nil unless I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I want 4K. I want HDR. I want Alexa. I want everything, right? Built into the TV so I don't have all the stuff, all these dongles everywhere, right? So
that's true.
I finally got the TV. I ordered it in like November. Last year sometime. I finally got the TV. It finally arrived. Hold on.
So you ordered in November. So you literally have to wait like 4 months, 5 months.
4 months. Nearly 4 months.
And this is due to what? The chip shortage? You think it's affected that?
I believe it had a lot to do with the supply chain because when I ordered it, it was in stock, but I guess they were taking so many back orders on it that they just simply could not fulfill the orders.
Right.
So finally, I got the delivery notification. And I think in the comments, when I was looking at the reviews and everything like that, the people that got them early, like the last few people that got them, loved the TV. It's fantastic. But the last few that had to wait are like, I waited a month. I waited 2 months. I waited this long. I waited that long to get it. So
literally gone are the days of like next day delivery or delivery within 2 days, 3 days. That's all gone, right?
It depends on the product, right? I mean, you can still get Echo Show 5s, you can still get all that type of stuff, but the TV, the larger electronics, maybe they have unique components that are not that are unique to that device. Like for example, the 55 and below TVs don't have Dolby Vision. They don't have that. So I guess the chips that allow that capability, the higher quality chips that allow that capability, 65-inch and above television sets, were very difficult to get. I saw 55 shipping. I just couldn't get a hold of my 65. And I didn't want a 50-inch TV anymore, or 55. I want something a little bit bigger, and I think it's the perfect size. But it took me a very long time to get. And I'd be interesting to hear from everyone else out there, how long did it take for you to get your 65-inch Omni series? Amazon TV? Leave a comment below because I'd love to hear what your story was. I'm based in Canada. I heard that some people in the U.S. got them a little bit quicker, but that's to be expected because the U.S. has a little bit more stock overall.
Yeah,
but that was my story to share.
I've actually ordered a couple of electronics over via Amazon, and normally I would get it within 2 to 3 days max.
Yeah.
And now I'm actually waiting a lot longer, usually a week or two, probably.
What kind of products?
Little gadget things, and it's not because of the chips, I guess. Some chips, because you got the supply chain, and I think the supply chain is one of the biggest issues. Plus, you got truck drivers on strike and things like that. That's also affecting deliveries. But I think definitely the larger electronics, like you mentioned, the TVs, and especially EVs. I mean, if you want to order an EV now, you will be able to get within a couple of months. There's a year's waiting list, I believe, right? There's or longer.
You're probably
maybe?
looking more like 2 years to get an EV, maybe even a plug-in hybrid, and it's been crazy. There are people that are actually buying. There are people actually go out there right now. They've put multiple offers on different vehicles, and they're selling off the first vehicle that they get their hands on at a profit. So they're actually flipping their first vehicle, getting a second vehicle, which they've already pre-ordered, and then driving new every few months for free, which that's crazy, right? I mean, when I got my EV, and this was in oh my God, it's like less than a year ago, and I couldn't even imagine this happening ever, is the fact that my EV was 0%. I haggled. I got free accessories and everything like that. And people are now on waiting list. They can't buy the thing. It's incredible. It's incredible how rapidly everything has changed overnight. Even normal cars, even normal cars are just affected. One of the stories that I heard was that the power window system on these vehicles use a common chip, and that common chip is ubiquitous that the manufacturers that manufactured them were hit so hard that some vehicles were actually going out with half of their windows, or just stuck there.
Even the infotainment system they use is using computer chips. In fact, I know Radeon, AMD, they make NVIDIA. They're making chips to go with the infotainment system, right? Including the sat nav, the entertainment, the music, and all that kind of stuff. So that's all affected. And like you said, what you did talked about the guys putting deposits on 2 EVs, getting one and flipping the other. So that's almost something that we talked about in computers, where the guys would there's a term called scalping, right? And people probably don't know what scalping is. It's literally they order the products, and if they get their hands on it, they resell it at an extortion price, but it's basically profit, right? Because they know it's scarcity. They could put the price up, and people will buy it because there's a shortage of high-end components such as graphics cards. I
believe the cleaner term to call this is, we call it arbitrage. Right? So it's the difference between the price of two different markets for the same item, right? So they're just simply taking advantage of that. But in the EV space in Canada, there are rebates available. So some people have actually put, and you have to, it's once per year. So when you buy that EV, you have to wait a year, you have to drive it for a year, and you have to have at least 4,000 kilometers on it in order to qualify for used EV incentives. So in BC, when you sell a EV used, you don't have to pay PSD on it.
Oh, right.
So there's incentives to do this.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah. So some car dealers are actually, I guess some car dealers are into this bit of a racket. But people have to make a dollar, I guess. But this is kind of an interesting way to do it that I never actually thought about, right? Because. But having said that, though, it's a really good way to get used EVs out in the market.
So with all that, like I mentioned, the chip shortage, and of course, this year we have huge inflation, right? So that's also affecting prices. Actually, people are waiting just kind of see what prices are, or are they going to just wait until the supply chain gets a bit better? I noticed, for example, because just started now, the chip shortage. It's gone a little bit better. I'm into computers and tech. I've been after a high-end graphics card for a while, and only last week I've seen one which I know it sounds crazy, but I'm after a graphics card to drive all the graphics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's one from EVGA I've been looking for. It's the RTX 3080, and that cost last week $1,300. Yes, $1,300. Right, yes.
That's actually come down in price.
It's actually gone down this week, $999. So it's under $1,000. I'm thinking, I could get it. I'm going to wait a little bit more because it's again, even if I place an order, I don't think I'll be getting it for possibly another 2 months again because of the supply chain and also the back orders and stuff like that. So, it's affecting everything, and I'm just hoping it'll get better because you don't really want to pay for any price over what the MSRP, manufacturer
MSRP
price,
Yeah, unfortunately, MSRP is the target price for many things nowadays, and that's unfortunate because now you can't get a deal on anything like that. I think the only way that you could get a deal on a graphics card these days is to actually buy it in a bundle. So you get the graphics card along with a motherboard, chip, maybe some memory. You basically buy the whole system build kit. And that's the only way that you can actually get a deal on anything. Now, if you just want the card, you're not getting a deal on that for sure. But if you're building a new system today, it's a really good opportunity to buy all your parts cheaply and get the graphics card.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what? It was weird. Some people were actually buying Dell systems. They were on sale.
Yeah.
And stripping the GPU right out of it and then selling the shell back out of there.
And just getting the component that they want, which is the graphics card, right?
That's right.
Oh wow! So the show, of course, it's you're the viewers, you're the guys that actually watch the show and listen to our podcast. So of course, we need sponsors, and sponsors is what we're after. And if you like our content, why not? Of course, contact us, and we'll support you in the ways we can, including the exposure. If you want exposure, we can provide that as well. Of course, Stephen here is well versed in the art of marketing. Is that right, Stephen?
Yeah, I dabble a little bit. I dabble a little bit. But, ultimately, you are our sponsor with your likes, comments, and subscriptions. So we still answer to you every single week, regardless of if we have a sponsor or not. Maybe we're hawking noodles one week. Maybe we're talking about air fryers another week. But ultimately, has to add value to you, and we won't be selling ourselves out too quickly. We're just putting out the soft ask out there, just so that hey, we are brand friendly.
Yes, definitely, yeah. So whatever you want us to talk about, then of course hits up the email. It's our podcast show at gmail.com, and Steve and I will try and cater for your your requests. So all right. Moving along, we're talking about, of course, supply chain issues, chip shortage and that. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize that chips are actually made from silicon, right?
Yes, silicon ingots.
Ingots.
These massive ingots.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the actual technical stuff behind silicon chips, but I know that they make them and they laser etch them, and it comes in wafers, right? Like little wafers of discs. And I heard that, of course, the process is complicated as hell, and it's super high tech. It needs to be in a dust-free environment, and you have these lasers that could etch them, and we're talking nanometers. In fact, no, they're like when you talk about chips and they're like, oh yes, 16 nanometers or 10, 14 nanometers, and you have to think about it's nanometer. We're talking one millionth of a millimeter. It's tiny, right? So it's a very complicated process, and with all of that, of course, factories are being affected with all the supply chain, because you need raw materials to make the silicon discs and so on, and the wafers. And there are only certain places that actually make these special high-end chips. Of course, Intel have factories in the US, and I think they have them in, Malaysia and Ireland, and then you have AMD in Taiwan with the Taiwanese semiconductor company where they're making the chips into their 5, I think there's 3 nanometers now, but most of the chips are found on your mobile phones. So those are special chips that are actually on the mobile phones. And with silicon, etching, and all that kind of stuff, certain raw materials are needed globally, and they could be sourced in certain countries where right now there's a war. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, like one of the noble gases, and this is the noble gas that is required in order to do those nanometer etchings inside of silicon wafers is neon. Now, neon is a byproduct of processes usually from, I think, steel fabrication and smelting and stuff like that. But they do that a lot in the Ukraine. So right now, Ukraine is basically shut down. That supply of neon is not available. Basically, they can't. No one can access it because of the country is in a military situation. So what do you do next? Well, it's neon to actually set up a neon gas factory just to make neon, nothing else, is actually very expensive. Yeah. So a lot of places are trying to retrofit neon gas production into their current supply chains to actually distribute it. And I believe that Intel was actually warned, and several other chip makers were warned a long time ago, at least a year or two ago, that because of mounting tensions between Russia and the Ukraine, that they should probably think about not getting their gas supply from Ukraine and maybe stockpiling.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, when you talk about the gas and the raw materials required to make chips, and Ukraine is part of it. I mean, we don't get all of our supply from Ukraine, of course, but imagine the global total supply. Ukraine will probably like 20%. Even a 20% reduction, it affects the whole global supply chain.
I heard it was 40. It was actually 40? Worse than that.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. It's a significant amount. That could be detrimental to countries that actually manufacture and get the majority of their supply from the Ukraine, which is why there's this huge global shuffle to get all of the remaining reserves out. And what I heard was that if they do nothing right now, the reserve of neon, I think it's like 2 years.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
Less than 2 years.
So if
they do nothing.
That's it. No more.
No more if they use it all up.
They need to look into having alternative supply. But I mean, I heard that Intel actually making or producing or thinking about building a new factory in I think it's in Phoenix or Arizona, one of those places.
It's good, the dry place for it. Yeah,
and also TSMC, so the Taiwanese semiconductor plant. Yeah. So people don't realize that they actually make a lot of mobile phone chips. Even Apple, all the Huawei, the Samsung, the LG, the Google Pixel phones, all of those phones, mobile phones, actually use similar chips produced by the Taiwanese semiconductor plant. And they use their technology, chip technology, from ARM. And ARM is basically a licensing company. Yes, they don't actually make chips. So I think we talked about that a couple of talk shows before. ARM is from UK, and they're based out in UK. And the 80s, they were called Archimedes. So if you guys were back in the 80s, you know who Archimedes are. So from there, they developed this ARM technology, chip design, and this is what's being licensed out to all these chip manufacturers. And every phone that you use, or every phone that gets produced by Apple, Samsung, they all have to pay a license to ARM.
Yes.
That's how they make money. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And the good thing about those is that compared to PC chips, it's slightly different. They use something called a RISC technology, which is reduced instructions, I mentioned before, lower instructions, less heat, and lower megahertz. So you don't need to run at high frequency to get all the processing done. So that's why it's they can produce smaller, more efficient, more energy efficient chips for mobile phones. So
which is very important in that space, right? Especially in like Raspberry Pi. That's actually a ARM license. ARM provides the license to build those little Raspberry Pi boxes that you can buy for starting at $40 for a little tiny breadboard, basically, which you put inside your own case. It's another type of DIY. Which is incredible, right? So they themselves have a DIY market where they have these devices which are embedded into signs, into automated devices, into 3D printers. It's a very powerful architecture that works in so many places.
3D printers is what they're being used for. I know that, and also automatic electronic curtain blinds.
Yes.
Like I see people making projects like press the button, everything is automatic.
Firewalls, ad blockers for your internet, routers even. There's so many things. One thing that it's been highly utilized for, at least in the enthusiast community, is that a lot of devices, at least this is on the Apple side, but HomeKit, that's their standard. It's not very ubiquitous in the rest of the world. Everyone else is Google or Alexa. So
you can make your home kind of home station.
HomeKit bridge.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So there's that entire market as well too. So they do so many different things with the ARM architecture that I am actually not surprised that that Google themselves wants to make different chips. Their Tensor cores. Same with Apple Silicon, right? Same with even and this is how I was like, I couldn't figure out why, but this is probably why Samsung makes the Exynos chips.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Which is their own chips, which probably helps them with costs.
That's right.
Right?
But,
so they don't have to pay license for that.
Exactly. And the other thing about, we're talking about factories, production lines and things like that. A lot of people, I'm not sure if you do know, like Xboxes, PlayStations, laptops, they actually produced in only a few places.
That's right.
Or not. There's for example, you heard of Foxconn, right? So Foxconn, famous on the news about their workers' abuse. You know, they don't get enough rest and sleep.
Yeah, they're jumping off all because of Apple products.
Apple products. They have a really tight kind of deadline to produce all these iPhones. So you heard of Foxconn. Foxconn makes Apple products. iPhones, MacBooks, and all that kind of stuff, right? So this factory is actually owned by a Taiwanese company, and they have factories in China. So in China, they have these huge factories making all these iPhone products, but it's owned by a company in Taiwan, so it's Foxconn.
Yeah.
And that's just an example. The other example is Asus. You've probably heard of them, big brand in PC components and that. They actually own a few factories also in China. This company, when you're doing business in China, you have to actually come up with a new company. So they come up with a new company called Pegatron. There's another company called Compile as well. But Pegatron actually have like huge amounts of production lines, and they make laptops for other brands. They make PS5s, they make Xboxes, and things like that. For example, if I was a company ABC or even whatever, I want to produce a laptop brand, I can just go to Asus or Pegatron and say, hey, look, can I, get this production line going on? I need 50,000 laptops a month. And they say, okay, sure, give me the money, sign here, and this production line is yours. We'll make laptops for you with your own brand. Yeah. See, that's what happens. And with that said, with supply chain disruptions, lockdowns, and things like that, this is where you see prices go up because the factories are not being produced enough laptops or products to be shipped out, and even if you do, you got like the truckers, strikes and stuff like that. So it's all affecting supply chains and things like that. So, but for you guys to know, your laptop or your PS5, your Xbox, is actually produced probably in the same factory as all the others in one place.
Yeah, and even though someone has placed an order, costs start to go up when that stuff sits on the conveyor belt, sits on the assembly line, right? When no one's able to assemble it. The more time it takes for your order to complete, the more expensive your order becomes, even though it's not the brand's fault. All these costs start to come down from the top down, right? So it usually it's not the brand's fault. It's just they're quickly trying to recover costs so they can actually deliver. Yeah, all they're trying to do, right?
And I heard from, I think, one of our supplier vendors that we deal with IT, and he said that once the stuff are actually produced and made in factories in China, they got to get shipped out, right? So it gets shipped out.
Yeah.
And they're going into these 40-foot containers on ships. So you've seen those ships. Remember the big story about the Suez Canal? The I can't remember which one.
Yes.
One of those.
Evergreen, funny enough, is a Taiwanese company.
Yeah, this huge shipping container was actually stuck in the Suez Canal. So those containers actually probably contained the products that were destined for Europe, right? So, like, I don't know, computer cases or whatever. And they were just got stuck. So the shipping company is actually charging more. They're actually reducing the amount of ships being, shipped around, going around the globe.
That's right.
Yeah, because of the fuel costs, administration costs and stuff like that. So whereas, like, say 5 years ago, there was 100 ships floating around doing all the shipping. Now there's only 50 ships. So if you imagine that you want to have your container on that ship, you literally have to pay double.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's all about space and distribution of the space inside that cargo container because the ship has to be balanced. If it's not balanced, it tips over.
That's right. That's right. There's
so
a whole, there's a whole industry in shipping that you wouldn't believe the amount of.
It's a science.
It's
and math and physics.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So it's not just I'll just get my stuff shipped over, no problem. But the thing behind the whole industry behind it is another thing that you need to look into. It's crazy. But affecting shipping, not just in shipping, air freight. Air freight is also affected as well. So
that's right. When fuel costs go up, you have fewer planes up in the air, and when you have fewer planes up in the air, oh my God, you have to get your shipment on there. But if it's overweight, you have to wait for the next plane. So your lead time means that your capital is tied up longer and longer. The loan that you took on that capital is longer and longer, which means that your costs have just gone up, which means that if you made 5% on an order in ideal circumstances, you may have just only broken even because the interest costs have sucked that all away from you.
That's true.
So it's hurting everyone.
It's hurting everyone, yeah. And I think it's last year was really bad. The year before was even terrible. But I think this year is slightly better. And it's just hopefully this year, things will slowly get back to normal. It won't be 100%, but at least if you get up to like 50, 60% of the actual turnaround, I guess, it'll be a little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very tough game right now to actually supply physical products, mainly because, and it's gotten a lot better, like you said, mainly because it's easier to predict because they know that there's only going to be so many ships now. It's no longer a surprise. So if you're placing a MOQ, minimum order quantity of 10,000 widgets, and your lead time, if you want that, and you've got those orders set, but what if your sales double? Well, you have to decide like yesterday that you wanted the next order because your lead times are longer, but you know that. So if you need, like, let's just say that you knew that your order was coming in within the next 30 days, but your next order to dovetail onto that, you had to place today, you would place that order immediately.
Yeah, I wonder how they actually place or, satisfy the orders for EVs. I mean, they're not actually produced locally,
They're not satisfying orders for EVs at all. Not at all. The supply is not fulfilling the market need right now. And, and that's unfortunate because a lot of people want to drive an EV because it's a good thing to do. It saves you money, especially in a gas crisis, which we're having slightly right now. It may not go away. This might be a permanent thing, but people will have to continue to drive. And the only way to drive cheaper is to actually change your fuel choice. Now, in some cases, though, getting an EV may not be in your best interest, even though the price is high, because your total cost of ownership does not compute, right? It's not. I mean, you might have feelings about the birds and the turtles and stuff like that, but it's all about how much it costs you to run the vehicle and how much does that compare to the cost of your internal combustion gas vehicle, right? So there's a lot of emotion right now attached to vehicles. And we covered this in the previous show where, cars are emotional purchases. And if you want it, you want it, right? There are people like myself who purchase on completely logical. I've got a spreadsheet. I know how many kilometers. I've calculated everything out. This car cost me $100 less every single month, even with the loan, than a internal combustion engine car. Oh, great. I'm going to get the brand new car because better warranty, 8 years, and blah, blah, blah.
Just basically do your math, right? Yeah, do your math.
Do your math. Don't let the feelings take over, right? Okay, pick the color with your feelings, but do the math first to make sure that the vehicle works for you, your family. Because if you don't drive any vehicle enough, no vehicle is going to make sense. And I see people they fall into this trap all the time of new car. They go to service. Like, this is the best con. They go to the service. They get this big bill. Then the sales manager says, "Hey, we saw your car in the dealership today for a service. We want to give you a quick assessment to see if we can get you into a better car for a lower payment." That takes into consideration your equity from the previous car, right? So your payment may be lower, but you're actually paying longer to own that car. Sometimes that's okay. You want a new car, you want a new car. But if you're doing it for cost savings, no, don't do that.
It doesn't work. Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't work.
It's like you're paying the bare minimum on a credit card, and
that's right.
You're paying the same thing. You're actually not getting any value out of it. But
you don't own the vehicle.
Yeah, but talking about supply chains for Teslas with the EVs, they've just I think recently opened up the Gigafactory in
Germany.
Germany? Yeah, Germany.
Yeah, Germany opened up their new Gigafactory, and there was this crazy drone video where it flew straight through the factory all the way through. Yeah, it's amazing, right?
That is amazing, and that building is literally so big. So the tallest building is Burj Khalifa?
Burj Khalifa is one of the taller buildings.
Yeah, it's one of the tallest buildings in the world, and that's in Dubai. I think Dubai or one of those, or somewhere in the Middle East.
Yeah, it beat Taipei 101 a little while ago. Yes,
it's actually bigger than that in terms of length. It's huge.
Yeah,
and they're planning to build one. Oh, they haven't finished it yet. I think in the US, somewhere in Texas probably, or maybe one of the deserts. They're going to build another one apparently. So it's the Teslas is really pushing EVs in a big way. They have always have been for the last couple of years, but because there's so much competition now, they're actually doing a lot more building these huge factories. And the good thing is, of course, it's homegrown, I guess. It's locally produced.
It's more or less homegrown because the factories are domestically based. It makes sense because batteries are expensive to ship because of their weight and everything like that. Getting the materials locally to actually manufacture them is probably a lot cheaper, and you have a lot better control over the supply chain where these materials come from. Tesla is one of many companies that have pledged to ethically source all their materials, because we know that there's some blood attached to cobalt in the past. All the companies have pledged to go with cruelty-free cobalt. I don't think maybe that's the term, but in Australia, they do have cruelty-free cobalt. So as they phase out a lot of these technologies that are previous and they roll in new ones, like the lithium iron phosphate batteries, which Tesla is now using, it uses less or none of the previously offending materials. So they're weaning themselves off of that at a very rapid pace, which is fast considering the age of the EV market. I mean, a decade ago, yes, you had some mining issues with kids in ditches and digging and stuff like that, but the technology has grown so rapidly that now they've gone from that to the aforementioned lithium iron phosphate. Now they're looking at lithium sulfur phosphate, and sulfur is plentiful. Like, I mean, if you, in Canada, if you go to I don't know if they have it there anymore, but when I was growing up in this area, over at Barnett, near Barnett Marine Park, which is in the near Port Moody, which is just outside of Vancouver, you would see mounds and mounds and mounds of yellow mountains of sulfur.
I wondered about that, and they was like covered in plastic sheets. And there was a spray of something that goes over it. I don't know what it is. Is that just water, mist, or something that just
keeps it from rising and stinking up the air, right?
Oh, and also there's also it's something to do with chemistry, right? If it's a fine powder in the air, it could ignite. Apparently, right?
Potentially, right? So I think I'm not sure. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't notice it anymore. Maybe they've just put it in buildings of some sorts. They finally built buildings big enough, but it was being deposited there for the longest time, and ships would come in and get filled up with the stuff. So, I mean, it's plentiful, even domestically in Canada. So if they move to lithium sulfur, well, then a lot of those types of supply problems have rapidly been diminished within a decade, a human decade. So I know that there's a lot of talk about, child labor. Yeah, child labor 10 years ago, right? You're rehashing old issues with the supply chain. The supply chain has rapidly evolved faster than any other fuel source in a domestic vehicle that you can drive.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna think next year or two, big manufacturers will produce more domestically, more locally. It's to stop the disruptions in the supply chain. If anything happens globally, you never know what's happening in the around the world. Tensions happen, shipping issues, strikes and stuff like that. I know Asia is because of. Not say so much cheap labor, but everything is there. I mean, you got the technology, you got the know-how, you got the factories, and you got people there to work. And I guess it's faster production, true, and probably cheaper as well. But anything happens to that supply chain, then it's just going to be nuts. So I can see the next 2 years, big companies like the big chip manufacturers like Intel, AMD, Nvidia, all those big guys, even Samsung. They're probably going to produce more locally and domestically, where they can control the supply chain themselves rather than let the supply chain control them, right?
It's not a bad thing either, right? I mean, shipping costs go down. There's a lot of costs that go down when you manufacture domestically, right? Because all the supply locally goes to everything that is locally produced and shipped to local stores. The stuff that's excess simply goes overseas to fill in the orders, right?
I mean, I don't mind paying maybe like $10 more if it's actually produced locally, domestically, knowing the fact that I can actually get it anytime because it's there, it's produced, it's being produced. And I think there was a story someone told me. In fact, I actually know this in Disneyland. Yes. Orlando, Disneyland. Yes. You go to one of those stores, souvenir stores, and actually there's two. For example, you get those cuddly toys, right? Yes. And you could pick up these two cuddly toys, exactly identical, right? One of them would be $5 more. I'm thinking, why is that? So I looked at the made from. So one is actually made $5 more was actually made in the USA. The actually $5 cheaper was actually made in China. So you have a choice, right? So think about it. That's a good thing, I think.
It is.
Then if you want to support locally, more domestically, if you want to support your own, then you can actually buy and locally. So I think that's really good.
Yeah. And, if you think about it, if you're given that choice and you're staring at it and you're someone that believes in domestic production, believes in the local economy, and you pick the toy that's made in China, you're a freaking hypocrite.
Seriously, that's true. I mean, again, if it's like $100 more, then of course there's no deciding. You get the cheaper one, right? But if it's only like $2, $3 more, $5 more, I'll go for the locally produced, more domestic, because that's supporting your local economy. That's supporting your government in terms of the services, like you said. We talked about that last time. The emergency services, the government services. That it actually helps the local economy. I think that would be a better choice. Given a choice, I would rather do that. Yeah.
And you know what else? Complaints about child labor, complaints about poor working conditions. Well, I'm pretty sure that in the local market, in our first world, we have better conditions for producing those types of products. They adhere to local laws more strictly, and they have our ethical and moral standards for production, for treating employees, right? No matter how much we stretch, no matter how much some of the manufacturers seem to stretch or play with these rules, they're still way better than what's happening overseas in some of these factories where, kids underage or they're working multiple shifts, 40, like 80 hours, 100 hours a week. It's nothing like that. So, I mean, if given the choice and if you're not making that choice presented in front of you, everything that comes out of your mouth is BS. you have to execute on what you're saying. That's what matters, right? You can't just It doesn't. That doesn't matter.
That's true. That's true. And if you are a locally domestic company that you want to do some sponsoring, then here we are. It's our
actually,
podcast show.
I would love to hear about some products that are completely produced locally, either in North America, no, not North America, and the U.S. or Canada, because North America actually includes Mexico as a whole, or even locally in our beautiful British Columbia, right, or even Alberta, right? I mean, we really want to support our local economy here. It's what's supporting us, and here we are, so we should be shouting that out from the rooftops, no matter. Right. Again, every opportunity we get.
Yeah. So anything. It doesn't have to be tech. It could be anything.
I like coffee.
Coffee. Yes.
Let's do coffee.
Yes.
Coffee, please.
Coffee's good. We always need coffee in the morning. So definitely. Yeah. So as I said, sponsors. If you like our content, of course, we do give you the exposure we provide with all the viewers and content that we have. So yes, thank you for your support. And yes, we're looking for some sponsors. Hopefully.
Please.
Please.
Always say please.
All right. So next up, we have something about Chrome OS Flex. What is that? Tell me.
Okay. So, look, there's a chip shortage, right?
Yeah.
Where is there an abundant amount of chips right now?
I don't know.
Probably in my closet because other machines back there, right? So we know that Windows 11 has had a detrimental effect on a lot of old machines, even once they're less than 2-3 years old. They require TPM 2.0. They require different security services and everything like that. Windows 11 wants to be more secure, but they can't do that without dictating harshly. Windows 10, still fine, still supported for another couple of years and everything like that. But ultimately, Microsoft wants to move in the more secure direction to the detriment of some of the enthusiast community. Right?
Yeah.
They may change their mind. They may change their mind. They might even have an 11S version of their operating system that does not have as secure as the full-blown version, but that's to be decided. That's Microsoft's choice. But in the meantime, Google has actually allowed a version of their Chrome OS to run on a whole range of different hardware that is existing right now, and it's called Chrome OS Flex. Now, it's in kind of a beta form right now, but this type of thinking that most people, when they use a computer, they're actually in a Chrome browser. You have 22 tabs open.
Yeah, you're right. Because I'm
right?
opening Chrome, and in fact, a lot of the Chromebooks actually are powered by Chrome OS. So
that's right. 80% of my work is actually inside there until I need to finish a project, in which case I go into Adobe Suite, right?
Adobe,
and even in those cases, Adobe has cloud versions of their products that actually run through a browser or some web app. So in that case, when you have a Chrome OS powered device, you can do a whole lot. And by using Chrome OS Flex, which is, you can sign up for the beta and get a download link for it to see if it's for you, because you can just run it off a USB drive to make sure everything's compatible. You can breathe new life into old hardware fairly rapidly. And there is a list of compatible devices that they have with the download and everything like that, including a list of things that you may or may not be able to do currently. But having that ability to actually take an old machine that can't run Windows 11 or even 10, or maybe it's stuck at Windows 7, and give it new life and make it just as fast, actually even faster, because some of these old processors are definitely faster than some of the entry-level Chromebooks out there. You can have a very powerful system overnight. Now, privacy. We know that stuff in the cloud isn't always secure, and Google's looking over your stuff, obviously, right? In some case. They may say that they're not, but I'm already in the Google ecosystem. They've seen my stuff, all of it. So I just want to recycle my gear. If I can have 2 more machines in the house, I don't have to buy a new machine that might be scarce. I'm going to go for it because
that's true.
That helps.
Yeah, in fact, I have actually got 2 test systems, and they're just sitting there just for testing, right?
Yeah.
So now I can't get my stuff that I want. I'm gonna, like I said, not recycle, but actually rebuild one of them into a fully functioning desktop PC. So why not? I mean, I've got the parts, and rather than just sitting on the shelf, I might as well actually get to use it, I suppose. and especially I don't have to fork out extortionate prices for like scalped prices on hardware.
Well, depending on what you're running too. I mean, you might not even have to. I mean, right now as it stands, there are Linux distributions like I think it's Mint runs really well. Runs games, and the distributions are now so well packaged that you can turn something that's old, brand new again. It'll open Chrome at least. Everything works. You can access cloud gaming right through your browser. I mean, it really is a great time for older hardware if you have it lying around and it's functional. This might be the time to bring it out because now you're not subject to the chip shortage tax.
Yeah. In the future, I think what will happen, this is my take, is that they'll produce upgradable or programmable tech, right? And what that means is like exactly what you have, or for example, your PlayStation or your Xbox. So when you see a firmware update and you click update, or you have a game update that you press, it'll be something similar. So the hardware, if you think about it, it's almost the same in terms of PCs, Macs, and other workstations. And most hardware can last at least 2 to 3 years, if you think about it. So why upgrade every year? I mean, there's Apple fans that do that every year with a new iPhone, right? So every year they have a new iPhone. That's the fans. That's the crazy.
It's a new addiction.
Yeah, that's their addiction, right? But if you think about it, you can literally use hardware like a phone. And it'll last at least 2 to 3 years. Computers wise, I'm still using the Ryzen, I think the 3000 series. That's like 2 years ago, and that still works fine, right? So, and in the future, this is what I think is that they'll produce chips or tech that is actually upgradable or programmable. The way that, for example, there's a new security patch. Yeah. They just need to upgrade that or upload it. There's something there's a bug inside the microcode. They'll just update the firmware. So in the future, we'll see a lot more with that. That will alleviate the supply chain problem, plus any of the chip shortage, because you have the chip already. It's programmable, right? Yes. To do the stuff that you want. Or if it's not working, then we just reprogram it to do whatever it needs to do. So that's one way in the future, I think we'll see a lot more of.
Do you see manufacturers jumping into that? Because I think that manufacturers still want to sell hardware. So maybe this might be a place for Google with Chrome OS Flex. Maybe an opportunity for a Linux distribution to actually make money for once.
Yeah,
right.
And what I talked about is exactly what you mentioned. You're actually updating the system using Chrome OS Flex, because the chips is the same. I don't have to run Windows or whatever. I can run OS at the Chrome OS. So it's the same thing. You just now we'll see a lot more of that.
Yeah, it's an interesting space, especially now that we know that most people, quite honestly, we're in Chrome. Most of the time we're doing a work in Chrome most of the time. The number of times that I reach for other software on a day-to-day basis is actually, depending on the week or what I'm doing, it's actually fairly rare. Like most of the time I'm in that. So seeing that there's so many machines that can be brought a new life, have a new interface, new coat of paint, made exciting again, right? I mean, like all you would need is basically a new monitor, which is your face to the system, and it just sits underneath there. You can even buy a case for it if you want. Yeah,
and definitely. You got to get yourself a wireless keyboard and a mouse. Look at it.
Yes,
wireless
that's right.
Keyboard, look at that.
And is that wires. The Logitech?
No, this is
that Corsair?
This is the Corsair one.
Corsair, okay. You see, I know that the Logitech one, there's actually a dual move or dual, where you can actually slide the mouse over to the next screen and it's another system.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
So that's really neat. And I think that's very, very useful. But, there's so many ways that we can, like eke out new life from old machines. And we have a lot of hardware here. In fact, I have a 980X Extreme Edition system on an X58 motherboard, which is circa 2006.
It's still working?
Probably still works just fine. Has like 90. Well, it's the three DIMMs times 2, so 6 DIMMs inside. So I have it loaded with 16 gigabyte DIMMs. Tri-channel, triple channel.
Triple channel.
And it's one of and it's a great system still, but I want to actually install one of the gaming-oriented Linux distributions on it so I can still play games. I think that's worthwhile. Or even just use it for a Chrome machine all day long. I know the case is really huge because it's like an XL ATX form factor. It's inside Cosmos 2, which is a huge case, right?
Oh, man.
But you know, like
we'll have another session called the useful tech, right? We're going to get one of those done.
We need an idea for something like this. We can talk all day about that. So if you have any ideas for a show, let us know in the comments below. They are right below you. Just comment, and if you're listening on audio, definitely email us in at the It's Our Podcast Show at gmail.com. That is our email address, and just let us know what you're thinking for something for us to talk about. We're both old school computer experts, so we can definitely talk on that. But we would love to talk about any other subject that you want us to talk about if you find this entertaining or helpful.
Yeah. So I think that's a wrap for today's show. It's our podcast show. And of course, the subject of the day was, yes, chip shortage and how it affected us in the daily lives of, tech. So, yes, Stephen, how will people reach out? How did it get to you?
How did it get to me? How did it creep on me? Well, I'm on social. I'm on Twitter. I have a Twitter account, unlike some people, at Stephen Fung. Or you can reach me on Instagram, where I do, like more dadfluencer type stuff, where I talk about the noodles that I got, or, something dad related, at Stephen Fung as well too on the Instagram. And, you can check me out there, follow me, like me, DM me, whatever.
Yeah.
How about you, Winston?
Yeah, for me, same thing. I'm on Instagram at Winston Chim, and also Twitter at Winston Chim. Oh, we're old school. We got our names all, built up. Yeah, we grab them while we can.
That's right. We squatted on our social channels fast.
Yeah. So, that's it. So have a nice, safe day, and make sure, of course, you check our channel, share our content, give us a like, subscribe, and of course, if you have any comments, hit us up at It's Our Podcast Show at gmail.com.
You got it.
All right. Until next time, I'm Winston.
I'm Stephen.
See you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.